The following program does not necessarily represent the views and opinions of Reality Radio 101, its advertisers and sponsors, or its listening audience. Listener discretion is advised.
Heading up 35, one way we're headed at 90K. Over the two-lane causeway, we'll go left, it's gonna be a classy day. Kickstands down, head on over to the band stage. Kick back and listen to the band play. Whoa, whoa, let's take a ride today. Whoa, whoa, across the causeway. Rockin' day. Whoa, whoa, the classy chassis way.
Good evening and welcome to this House of Musicians with your host, singer, songwriter, and founder of the band, Inner City Outlaws, the Baritone Bear, Mr. Barry Smith, right here on Reality Radio 101. To get on board, send us an email right now. Our email address is thishouseofmusicians@gmail.com.
Whoa, whoa, across the causeway.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, right to your host of this House of Musicians, Barry Smith.
Hey, hello, folks. I hope you're all doing good this evening. And to all our listeners, welcome to this House of Musicians on Reality Radio 101. We hope you enjoy the next hour with us as we do our small part to help promote musicians, bands, and venues. Gary, how are you today?
I'm hanging in there, my brother.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. Hanging in is always better than hanging out.
Absolutely, and very excited. We're very excited about tonight's guest, so we can't wait to hear from her.
Absolutely excited. We have on the show Cherelle Jardine, and Cherelle is from BC or lives in BC. She's a singer, songwriter, musician, producer, and radio show host of Make a Scene Canada on Pacific Northwest Radio. And let's introduce her. Cherelle, how are you this evening?
I'm really good, and I love the way you pronounce my name. It's Cherelle, but Cherelle is kind of like the French version of it, so awesome.
Okay, so you won't be offended if I keep saying it wrong, because I'm just sometimes a little clueless.
That's okay. Yeah, no, it's kind of a cool little twist on it, but it's sure like Cherelle. So if you think of the word sure, then yeah,
Cherelle.
It's all good. Yeah, awesome.
I'm going to write it down in a different language here, so my language that I would understand that nobody else could possibly read. So it's Cherelle. I got you, Cherelle Jardine. We're happy to have you on the show.
Thank you so much for taking the time out and for promoting artists. It's, just wonderful of you, so thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. You're indeed welcome. It's an honor to have you. Let's start right at the beginning. Where did you grow up? How did you get introduced to music? And who were your your influences when you were younger?
Okay, so I was born in Toronto. And growing up, there was always music around me, although my parents kind of were in more of the country and Dean Martin, those types of, music would be happening in the household. But as I got a little bit older, unfortunately, my father became a really abusive alcoholic. And so I kind of sourced out music as an escape, you know, someplace I could actually go and hide in. And that's where I learned wonderful bands like Led Zeppelin and David Bowie and Kiss and, you know, all those cool rock bands from that era. And that's kind of what got me through my teenage years, is actually diving into music and really seeking that, you know, solace that I needed and the escape, you know, for music. So that's how it started.
Absolutely. And how did you, when did you figure out you could sing and start singing? I mean, I remember when I was a kid, I grew up with country music. I remember being 10 or 11 years old, sitting on the swing set outside of our apartment building, singing Divorce by Tammy Wynette out loud, and people would be looking out the window. Oh yeah, crazy. So how did you figure out, hey, I like to sing?
Well, it was actually school that kind of was my influence. So I also like to act. And so I got into all the school plays, and then I would have some singing roles. And so I kind of, you know, honed my craft at an early age, you know, 12 probably is when I started thinking, hey, I really love singing. And it kind of went from there. I got my first guitar when I was 14, and it was this battered old guitar that had a broken head that I had to gaffer tape, you know, right? The typical story, and learning the first 3 chords and going, hey, I can actually write music on an instrument and sing. So that's kind of where it all started.
That's cool. So what age do you think you were when you wrote your first song?
I was 13.
Wow.
Yeah, I still remember, and it was really bad.
Well, I think we all think that our first songs are bad, but hey, everybody's different. So I've sometimes thought a song was terrible, and sometimes it got more attention than other songs. So it just, you know,
you never know what touches people.
You never know. I think a lot of bands too, at the same time, do an album, and the song they think that would be the least popular becomes the popular, you know, the most popular song on the album. I think that happens quite a bit.
Yeah, you're shocked by it. You're like, what?
Yeah, are you kidding? This was a fill-in song.
It was a throwaway.
That's right. It was a throwaway. We had to fill up the time on the album. So there you go. When did you start playing live? And what kind of music were you playing?
Yeah, I guess when I was about 17, I started playing live, and I remember my very first performance. I had my guitar, and I was singing an original song in a little lounge, and my mother walked in, and I saw her, and I totally forgot all my words. My knee was shaking so bad that I couldn't even stop it, and I was just like, oh, this is really scary, you know? And so, it's always hard to do it in front of your relatives when you first start. It's better in front of people you don't know, but yeah, she walked in, and I was like, oh.
And so you told her, don't come to any more shows.
Exactly. Yeah. She did later in life, but not at the beginning.
Absolutely. You started off as a solo artist, and you recorded 4 solo albums. That's impressive.
I did, and it's really fun because the first album that I put out, called Born Naked, I did it by working in a studio, Bullfrog Studio, which is it started bands like Loverboy and some of the bigger Vancouver bands. But I started by cleaning, and so I actually worked for my recording time by cleaning toilets and washing sinks and emptying ashtrays. And so the whole album was done on that type of thing, which really, you know, it's good for an artist to start off that way, because then you realize that you have to really work hard for your art. You know? Sure.
The barter system. Why not? I mean, it's so expensive to get an album done, and to be able to barter to do, you know, to work for it is just absolutely amazing. So that was in '96, Born Naked. Yeah. So then in '98, 2 years later, you made another album, Something Good Is Happening. Now, did you write all the songs on both of these albums?
Yes, I did.
Beautiful. Great.
Yeah, so Something Good Is Happening. It was with Rob Begg in his studio, Marshall Studios. And then the next album was, I'm getting confused now. There's
Bleeding Water in 2001. Water. I got you covered.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, Bleeding Water. And did that in Vancouver. Sid Perez produced it. And so that album did really well. And then the last album solo was Head Traffic, and I did that with Ray Roper and David Wills, and another cool project, just all learning as you go, getting better and better as you move along and start to work with different producers and different musicians. So, yeah, those are my solo projects.
Good for you. And so now, of course, when you were playing live and gigging, you bring your CDs with you and sell them on stage and stuff, or maybe even in local music stores. So yeah, it's always nice to do stuff like that as well. And it's something, you know what I love about recording music? I myself have about 50 original songs out there on the internet too. And I think a lot of the reason I'm doing it is I know it might sound a little crazy, but when I'm gone, they'll be there for my kids for the rest of their lives, you know, to listen to it, you know, and to have something, a little keepsake. So it's cool to record music.
Yeah, and not only that, like, I love the idea about passing something on to the next generations, but it's your piece, it's your footprint on the earth, right? And that
exactly.
You were here, and this is what you did, and you made a difference in some people's lives, possibly even by some of the songs. So, yeah.
Absolutely, you do. People listen to your music and they pick and choose what songs they like, and a lot of them have meaning in their lives as well. Now, in 2009, you formed a band with your daughter, AJ, who, by the way, a couple months ago, I sent a message to come on the show as well. I know she's a great singer and performer, like her mother as well. But you formed a band with your daughter and called it the Jardines, and this is pretty impressive. You guys performed at the opening ceremonies at the 2010 Olympics in Richmond, BC.
We did. And
let's talk about that. That's exciting.
It was exciting. And I was also, I don't know if you ever watched the CTV commercials, Do You Believe? But they asked me to be the representative of Richmond. And so I was on those commercials talking about, you know, the ozone, what's going to be happening and stuff. So, yeah, that was really such an amazing experience for us. And just to be able to, you know, be in a band with my daughter, you know, and to share those experiences, awesome. You can't pay for that kind of heart therapy.
Absolutely. No, that's wonderful to play with your daughter. That's amazing. Now, you guys toured in the UK, performed and wrote in Nashville. Let's talk about that. The UK, that's pretty cool. How did that all come about?
It was so cool. So, yeah, I thought, you know what, let's go on the road and you know, even bigger. Let's not just go on the road in Canada. Let's get out of town. So David Bash, who's a good friend of mine, he does the International Pop Overthrow Festival all over the world. And he was doing one in Liverpool at the Tavern Club, of all places, right? And so I had played in LA and you know, in Vancouver and different places that he has the festival in the past. And so I wrote him, I said, hey, you know, what if I come over there with the Jardines and we do some shows? And he's like, yes. So that's what we did. And then I set up some other shows and it was really an amazing experience. Once again, traveling with my kid, and, you know, we did it as a duo because it was much easier just to kind of get over there and do stuff. But yeah, so much
amazing.
Fun. Oh my God.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, so amazing.
And how long were you in the UK for?
We were there, I think it was for 10 days.
Good for you.
So her and I, we did the shows, and then she went off and went to Amsterdam, and then I had gone to Scotland and some other places too. So we kind of did our separate things also while we were there, which was really, really fun. And yeah.
Absolutely. For sure. Great memories to always reflect back on, for sure. So we'll just move forward a little bit. In 2011, you and Mark Gladstone and Scott Jackson formed the Stone Poets, and we're going to play a tune here shortly of a Stone Poets song. You guys were a modern folk trio, which also recorded 4 CDs. Let's talk about how the Stone Poets formed.
A really fun story as well. The Jardines were playing at a big festival in Richmond, and a band in Paris, which is a group that Mark and Scott had as a rock band, were playing at the same festival. And so we were all hanging out backstage, and I knew Scott a little bit, but he came up to me and said, hey, you know, I've been working on this song, and I was wondering if you know, might want to kind of work on it with me and maybe put it out. And I said, that's a great idea. And then Mark was in the back room, and I heard him yell out, hey, you can rehearse at my place. Well, because I lived in Richmond, Scott lived in Purple Ridge, and Mark lived in Port Coquitlam, so it's kind of in the middle. So he actually whittled his way into the Stone Poet.
That's awesome.
But, you know, honestly, that first song, as soon as we sat down, the three of us, we knew there was magic in that room. And here we are, you know, from 2011 to today, still writing songs and recording and touring together. And it's just been such a wonderful experience with them.
I'm sure it has. And that's, so you're into 4 CDs with Mark and Scott too, right?
Yes, yeah. And I have to give out to our producer, Sheldon Zaharko. Mark and Sheldon produced most of the songs. Scott and I do have a piece in it, but I give them full credit. But Sheldon's an amazing producer and engineer. So Sheldon Zaharko, and if anybody needs to do some recording, they're out local, please get in touch with him.
There you go, a nice little plug. While I have you right here too, and before we do your song, why don't you tell the folks out there how they can look you up on the internet and whatnot, and where your songs are and what music sites and whatnot. Let's do that real quick.
Okay, that sounds good. So stonepoet.ca, super easy. Just go on there, and from there you can, you know, find out all of our Instagram, Facebook, Twitter pages. You can hook up with us there. I do a lot on Facebook, so that's, you know, Facebook and Instagram. So if you want to get in touch, just get on there, send us a message, and you can find our music on iTunes, Spotify, all the, you know, the big companies that don't pay anything.
I know.
We go into that too, right? But yeah, 0.0003 cents or something per spin. But anyways, yeah, you can.
It's crazy.
Get us on iTunes. You know, we do actually get that chunk of the money. So
good for you. So there you go, folks. You can listen to the Stone Poets anywhere on the internet. Just look them up, and they have some great music. Why don't we play one of your songs and talk about it after? Now, I just have to say, I've listened to the song a few times, and what a powerful message. It's such a good song. I love listening to it. Gary, you're going to love this song, Gary.
I hope so.
I'm hyping it up because it's so darn good. So now, what album was this from?
This is actually 2 singles that we just released. So we had a Eastern tour last September, and so we released The Great Divide and also Gleam and Beam as 2 singles. So they're not on any album, but you can get them on iTunes.
Cool. And this is with Mark Gladstone and Scott Jackson.
It is.
Cool. Well, let's have a listen to it. Folks, I have Cherelle. Did I say it right?
You did.
Cherelle Jardine. Hey, I'm proud of myself. I said it right. I have Cherelle Jardine on the show from the band Stone Poets. And you're going to absolutely love this song, folks. It's called The Great Divide. And you are listening to this House of Musicians radio show right here on Reality Radio 101.
I find myself on bended knee as a war of words washes over me. How did the river get deep and wide? When did we dig this great divide? It's hard to know just who to trust. Where there ain't no sides. It's right in the middle of the great divide. Why, oh, why can't we see eye to eye? dreams in the dead of night. We'll all wake up in the Great Divide. So different, you and I. Let's meet in the middle of the Great Divide.
Hey, welcome back, folks. I have Cherelle Jardine on the show this evening, and Cherelle, I want to talk about the Great Divide with all the stuff that's going on in the States, and you know, I'm sure other places in the world. What a powerful message! I absolutely love the song. I'm just interested in how you guys came up with writing it.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. So we were heading down to Nashville. My daughter AJ is an artist based in Nashville right now, and so we were heading down there, and Leanne and Daryl Burgess, who are friends of ours, who are amazing Canadian, you know, born but living in the U.S. Artists who have written with just about everybody in the world, huge hits all over. Just really great people and great writers. So I had an idea for a song called The Great Divide. And basically, as you made note, the USA, it's so ugly. It's so toxic down there. And I can't believe that people on the right, because I'm left, right? I can't believe how people can hate so much, can, you know, want to hurt other people. They are supporting a president that is just the worst president that we've ever in our lives. And I'm not sure if you're agreeing with me or not on this. And you don't have to tell me, but those are kind of my views. I cannot stand President Trump and what he's done to the state. So anyways, the idea was to go down and write a song called The Great Divide, trying to get people to come to the middle and just at least be able to talk sensibly and logically with each other instead of creating this huge wall, you know, and just I'm far right, I'm far left. Well, let's pull it in a little bit. Now there's certain topics that I can't even, you know, begin to say pull it in the middle, like racism, you know, pedophilia, you know, things like that. There is no left or right or middle at all. It's just like, it's not even on the table to talk about. But everything else, I mean, human rights, you know, social issues. Let's get together and talk as normal human beings. So that's what the idea was when we sat down. And Daryl and Leanne are great. Daryl just picked up his guitar and started jamming out some chords. And Mark was super sick that day. We went on this trip, and he was sicker than a dog. So he was lying in bed, yelling out different lines. What about this? What about this? And really, in about an hour, we put the song together.
Amazing.
That's how quickly it came, because we're all on the same page, and we know those struggles and how polarized it is down there and in other places in the world too. But this specifically was targeted, you know, what's happening in the U.S.
Absolutely. I agree with you. The one thing I can say about Trump is I was shocked when he was elected, shocked. I couldn't believe it. But there's one thing. Yeah, but there's one thing that I can say is that, you know, for the folks in the States, and it's a little meme that somebody sent me. It says, "I miss 9/12. I would never ever want another 9/11, but I miss the America of 9/12. Stores ran out of flags to sell because they were being flown everywhere. People were American before they were upper or lower class, Jewish or Christian, Republican or Democrat. We hugged people without caring if they ate at the Chick-fil-A or they wore Nikes. So 9/12, what mattered more was that the united people, and than what divided them. So that was a pretty cool meme, I thought. That's for sure.
That's awesome.
We have some emails I want to read to you. This one's from Mike T, and he says, "Oh my God, Cherelle looks like Nancy Wilson of Heart. What a resemblance."
Oh,
so there's,
cool.
Yeah, cool. Here's one from Ralph
you,
D. Yeah, thank you, Mike, for the email. Here's one from Ralph D. "Nice guest tonight, Barry. She is very talented, hot, and very nice lady. I'm a big fan. Stay healthy." There's a compliment for you.
Well, thank you.
One from Shane C. "Hello, love the artist tonight. Where can I sample and buy her music?" He sent the email before, but we will mention, before you mentioned where he can get a hold of your stuff, but we will mention it again before the end of the show. So thank you for that email, Shane.
Thank you. Thanks,
and
Shane.
let's just do one more here real quick. Steve E. says, "And this lady and her band is not a major. WTF, what is wrong with the music industry today? They are F. This is why we have this show as rated. You know that, eh?"
Yeah, that's awesome.
Rate about they. This is the first time I've ever heard her amazing everything that music is supposed to be. So there's some nice compliments coming in from all the folks listening. Cherelle, I want to know how you came up with the band Stone Poets. What a fabulous name.
Oh, Stone Poets. So that's Mark Gladstone, and Scott and I are the poets of the band. We write all the lyrics.
Cool.
Easy. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great name. So what is your writing? I like to ask artists what their creative writing process is. I know for me, I pick up a guitar, I might do a couple of riffs, put it down, come back a couple of weeks later. If I still like the riff, I'll turn it into a song. What's your creative writing process?
You know, it's funny with me, I usually hear melody and lyric almost at the same time. So I'll pick up my guitar and I'll have a melody in my head and some words, and then I'll just find the chord, and then I'll just start playing it. And usually it's pretty much there. There's some times where I just sit down and do some lyric writing. Like every morning I get up first thing and I just do free writing for about 5 minutes and just whatever comes
Good for you.
out. And sometimes lyrics come out, sometimes poetry, sometimes just a bunch of stuff that doesn't make any sense. But so that's normally what I do. And I have been teaching some online songwriting courses too. So
good for you.
That. Yeah.
Good stuff. And so now let's talk about, you have 2 bands going on, which is impressive. And, I guess you can get a lot more gigs that way too, huh?
You can, but it's so different. Like my Stone Poets is a lot different than my Head band. Yeah.
So the band's called Head. Let's talk about how that came about and what the difference is.
So Mark had an idea for years and years to have a band called Head. And he thought everybody should be bald because, of course, he's bald, right? And I said, well, I'm not shaving my head. No, that's not going to happen. But so we started writing some songs, and then we brought in some other players, put the band together, released an EP, then released 2 full-length albums in the, 4 years we were together. And the cool thing about Head is we all have different personas. So I'm Lyric in the band, Mark is Stone, and then there's
cool.
Diz, there's Styx, and the Phantom. So we all have, these cool little alter egos. And the whole idea behind the 2 albums is the story of a woman named Alberta and her trials and tribulations that she went through during her life. Dear Father, the last album was actually about her alcoholic abusive father and all the kind of storyline that happens for her within that. And there is a storybook that's actually written also for both albums that is on our website that people can actually go and read through it too as they're listening to the music.
Awesome. And so you guys did that CD, Afraid to Sleep, in 2016, and that's the song you're referring to now as Dear Father?
Dear Father, the album, yes. In 2018, we released that. So, and a lot of the story is my true life story. So, because of my, background as a child, what I went through with my, kind of horrific childhood experiences. So it was really good to be able to release that and, get it out there. And yeah, that's about it.
Good for you.
It's rock.
Hey,
it's rock.
It's rock, yeah. It's different than the Stone Poets, that's for sure. And good for you. Like I said, it's wonderful to have two bands going. You can almost pretty much play every weekend. At least I'm saying, you know, when you get back to playing and whatnot, because now you have two bands. And I think I saw some pictures. So you guys dress up and stuff too, right? In Head.
Oh, it's awesome. Like I wear this really pretty makeup, and yeah, everybody is pretty cool in the band.
Good for you. That's awesome. Let's talk about, I know you produce a radio show on Pacific Northwest Radio called Make a Scene Canada. Let's talk about that for a bit, and how you got involved in that, and when the listeners can listen in, and what the radio show's about.
Yeah, well, it's we actually started a Facebook page, Make a Scene, because we were kind of lamenting on how before COVID the music scene was pretty stagnant. You know, we weren't getting a lot of gigs for everybody, and you know, a lot of venues weren't really supporting artists the way they should. And so we started this Facebook page, and all these artists joined. It was crazy. And so within about 3 or 4 days, we had like 1,000 people on the page. So we knew, you know, that
good for you.
That definitely needed, and it was also there so people could promote their shows and, you know, get the word out and stuff. So my husband Mark, he has a show on Pacific Northwest Radio called Green Beans, Mushroom Soup, and Strawberry Ice Cream, and it shows Sunday nights at 9. And so when we were talking to Sheldon, who's our producer, Sheldon owns the station, and so you know, I was saying, hey, you know, I want to have a radio show too. And he goes, okay, what do you want to do? And I said, how about Make a Scene Canada? And he was like, oh, okay, that sounds really good. So it's similar to your show. It's not live, it is recorded. But I've had some amazing guests on the show, and really, really thankful. So we talk about, you know, what's happening, you know, in the artist's life and new music and videos and stuff, just exactly like you're doing. It's just another avenue for artists to get their voices heard.
Absolutely. And, you know, all the musicians, we need to help them as much as they can. The music business has turned into such a hard, tough go for musicians and bands to get anything done and let's just face it, to make money. I mean, unless you have a big name and you're touring, it's hard. And, you know, there's so many musicians out there that are struggling. So it's great to have music shows to promote them. That's for sure.
Yeah, and you're right. I mean, there are thousands and thousands of artists, and they're out there. Everybody, you know, I mean, in the old days, like before our time kind of thing, but when record companies used to sign an artist, you know, and then
sure.
the record companies kind of went to their demise, and now there's so many independent artists trying to do the same thing. But with home recording, it's really opened up so that now listeners have to sift through a whole array of music from, you know, very, you know, maybe not as well produced to, you know, high whatever. But it's hard. You have to sift through so much music to actually find artists. So yeah, it's really important for shows like yours and mine to actually get the word out for people to find and to go, hey, you know, I really like this.
Agreed. Yep. It's nice to be able to help them if we can. Now, this is impressive. You were the recipient of the Richmond Arts Award in 2011. Let's touch on that for a moment.
I am. You know,
that's great.
I had a music series called Musical Expressions for 7 years, sponsored by the city of Richmond. And so just getting that award was just, it meant a lot to me. Yeah, it really did. I'm still very proud of it. It's just on my mantle. But it was for my work in the scene, you know, in the Richmond scene, supporting music and musicians. So yeah.
Good for you. And then, and here's another one, the Ethel Tibbetts Award in 2012. Talk about that.
Yeah, the same thing, just the support of the arts in Richmond again. And Ethel Tibbetts was a big supporter of all things of the arts. So getting that award was even more special to me. Yeah,
sure. And you're
nice, right?
Oh, for sure. Any awards that you get, it shows appreciation to what you're doing, makes it all worth it. You were the president of the Pacific Songwriters Association at one time.
I was. Yeah, that was another fantastic journey. I got to meet so many very cool artists and people that came and sat on our songwriting panels. And that was, I think I did that for about 6 years. So, yeah, that kind of amalgamated into the SAC, or the Canadian Songwriters Association,
sure.
After I left. But at least it kind of continued on its journey and helping to support artists.
Well, your whole life is involved in music, and that's absolutely wonderful. But I always ask the artists that come on the show, you got to tell me a crazy story, something that's happened to you either on stage or on the road. I know all musicians have something that's happened. It's kind of putting you on the spot because you might have to think a bit, but definitely tell me something that's really crazy that happened while you were performing or anywhere as far as music goes.
Okay, so this kind of jumps out at me.
Good.
I was in a festival, and I was on a stage, and all of a sudden it started to storm really, really hard, and there was a pile of water that kind of shifted in behind me, and nobody really noticed. And so I got to the point where the water was just about touching my feet, and somebody said, "Oh my God," and they just cut the power.
Wow, yeah. Good thing.
Thing. But I have to tell you this other thing too, and it's really short. But I tore my Achilles tendon years ago, and so I had this full leg cast on. That's how they did it, this doctor. And so I was up on stage with my leg cast, and people were taking pictures and stuff. And after that show, I started getting tons of messages from people saying, "I love your music. Oh my God, how can I buy your music?" And I thought, wow, this is great. Like, that was my Something Good Is Happening album. So things were starting to happen. And so anyways, it went on. And then, like, I was getting thousands of emails. And it got to be a little bit crazy. And then people were saying, "Can I get a picture of you and your cast?" And I went, wow. Oh, that's kind of weird. So then this woman emailed me privately, and she said, "I just want to let you know that you are on a caster site." And I was like, what does that mean? Well, it's... picture had like thousands and thousands of people saying, "Oh my God, she's so hot. Oh my God, I want to buy her cast. Oh my God, I love to smell her cast." All this.
What? That's crazy.
And so that is how I was getting all these people contacting me. And here I thought it was because of my music. It was my cast.
I hope you got at least 50,000 for that cast.
Oh man, I wish I had a cast. I wish I had him.
You might want to break your arm or something and get another one. I don't know.
I'm thinking that could be the new thing, right? We could just
absolutely. That's crazy. That's great, though. That's wonderful. So I'm going to ask you now too. What is the most trouble you've gotten into?
The most trouble, like in my whole life, or with music?
Well, whatever you want to say. Well, with music, I guess. But I have nothing that jumps out. I've had a pretty good time with music. Good for you.
I haven't been arrested.
Good for you.
I haven't fallen off a stage.
Good for you. Well, I admire what you're doing because I know I follow your posts on Facebook, and I know that you're into peace and love and like what you were talking about before, what's going on in the States. And again, reverting back to the song, The Great Divide, just I'm happy that, there needs to be more people like that in the world. That's for sure.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So let's talk about Head for a bit. This is your rock band. I've seen some pictures. You guys are all dressed up and stuff. Pretty darn cool band. We want to play a song, and then we'll talk about where the song came from. And then we'll come back to you and we'll talk about the song.
Awesome.
Folks, I have Cherelle Jardine on the show from the band Stone Poets and also the band Toxic. We're going to hear a song from her band Toxic right now, right here on this House of Musicians radio show on Reality Radio 101. Hey, welcome back, folks. I have Cherelle Jardine on the show with me here from the band Stone Poets and the band Head. Am I saying your name right now?
You are. It's awesome.
Good. I'm sometimes a quick learner, I guess, but there you go, Cherelle Jardine. Awesome. Let's talk about Toxic from your band Head. What a great song. Let's talk about that, how it came to be and what it's about.
Yeah, so in keeping kind of with that story of Dear Father, it's on that album, the toxic relationship that I had with my dad. Kind of started that idea for the story, but where I got the actual juice is from watching how toxic people can be to each other. And a lot of times, say, yourself, you probably dealt with this in the past, somebody is jealous of you, what you've done musically, or how you look, or whatever. And so they cut you down, as best they can to make themselves feel better. And so the first line of the song is, haters gotta hate and I should grow a thicker skin. Because really, it doesn't really matter what you think of me, at the end of the day, it's what I think of myself. But those people know how to kind of crawl underneath your skin and try and get to you. So you just have to be like, that's not going to happen, and just cut it off. So that's basically what it's about.
Gotcha. Absolutely. Yeah. You can't let people bother you. That's for sure. Because I'm sure, they're going to try. That's for sure.
Oh yeah. They love it.
What is your, yeah, absolutely. What is your favorite song to play on stage?
Well, you know what, honestly, I love Stone Poets' Carry, which is off of our fourth album, and it's a beautiful song about basically we all need to carry each other, especially in these times that we're happening right now. So I really love playing that. People, get out their cell phone candles and, they sing along and clap along, and it's really means a lot to me when we can do that one.
Good for you. If there's anything you could change about the music industry, what would that be?
Streaming companies and what they pay artists.
Absolutely.
It's criminal.
It's brutal. It's brutal.
0.0003 cents a spin. Like, I sold 55 albums a couple of weeks ago, and I had 11 cents credited.
Absolutely.
You cannot even survive as an artist out there. So that's the biggest thing. I'm working with, I don't know if you know anything about the Canadian Musicians Coalition. Have you heard about it?
Yes.
Yeah, so Steve Stanis is the person who put that together. So we're trying to get it so that it's a proposal to create a support fund levy from a streaming levy. I'm basically charging 5% on streaming services, like your Rogers bill or your Shaw bill or whatever. And the fund, we would create like a $2 billion fund so that we could
good for you.
Give musicians, a living wage, and also create, subsidizing venues and helping the kids that are coming up. We need to support them as well, music education. So we'll see what happens with that.
I couldn't agree with you more. It's really bad. Yeah, like I think I have 50 originals maybe online, and they're on 163 different music sites or 165 different music sites or something. But, I think over the last 2 years, maybe I have $14 in the account. So I have a day job, Cherelle.
Yeah. See, and that's not, you should not have to. You should be able to sustain yourself on your artistry.
Sure. If people are downloading your music and streaming your music, then definitely you should be, you should be able to be getting something out of it. I definitely agree with that.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I would change, and that's what we're working on.
Good for you. Well, I'm wishing you all the best with that, and for all the musicians out there as well. I have a segment on my show that I like to do called, well, Gary, what do you think?
Wow. Two distinct genres of music, and very talented, well put together, well produced, excellent harmonies and vocals. A1, 100%. I loved it. Both songs.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, the Great Divide's pretty special, that's for sure. I know I keep bragging on that, but I certainly indeed love that song.
Oh, thank you.
What would you be doing?
No, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I want to hear your question.
I was just going to ask what you would be doing if you weren't a musician.
I would probably be acting.
Good.
And not the best actors. Mark has seen a few things that I've been in. He's like, yeah, you're probably better to stick with music.
There you go. Well,
you know,
that's just, hey, you tell Mark that's just his opinion.
That's right.
What do you have Cherelle, what do you have on the go at the moment? What are you working on? What are you doing? Are you working on an album? I'm sure you're always writing songs with Mark and Scott. What are you guys up to?
Yeah, so a couple of things. So Stone Poets are going to be recording a new album. It'll be in the new year. I think we've got on that about 9 or 10 songs right now that we've just finished. You know, we're putting some polishes on. So that will be in the new year, and people can keep track of that on stonepoets.ca. But I've got another project that I'm super excited about.
Good for you.
It's called One Foot in the Grave. And Mark, again, he's great at naming bands. He's like, you know, I've always thought about having a band called One Foot in the Grave. So we were having a family get together with my sister, and she's an amazing poet and author. And so I said, hey, why don't we put together a band where I take your poetry and I turn it into song.
Amazing.
And so it's going to be basically music inspired by the poetry and of author Cindy Miller. And so it's going to be current social issues that we're dealing with right now, what's going on in the world, and I already have 3 songs written, so that's what's happening right now.
Good for you, staying busy, keeping at it, keeping your mind fresh. That's a positive thing to do for sure. Mm-hmm. Why don't we tell the folks, Cherelle, one more time how they can, get a hold of your music online and whatnot, and purchase your music and that.
Awesome. So the easiest way, if you don't want to write down a bunch of stuff, is CherelleJardine.ca, and my name's spelled CherelleJardine.ca. From there, you can see where you can go to actually find the different things like Stone Poets, if you just want to go on stonepoets.ca or music.ca. And we're all over, like Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff. Just look us up.
There you go. Well, there you go, folks. And what can I say? It's been an absolute honor to have you on the show. You have some great music going on there, and I know you stay busy at it, so that's good. And you're also with your radio show promoting other bands, so good for you. It was, like I said, it was a pleasure to have you on the show.
Awesome, and super appreciate once again. Thank you for giving artists the opportunity to get their music and the word out there about who they are and what they're doing.
Absolutely. And so what we're going to do then is I'm going to keep following your progress. Well, I'm certainly looking forward to another Stone Poets album. That's absolutely something that I'll be looking forward to. And, within another year or so, maybe this time next year, we'll get you back on the show. Do you think your album will be done by then?
We're hoping probably in the spring.
Good for you. And so do you have a studio that you go in and do it? I know a lot of musicians nowadays are recording at home with home studios and the little boxes. I can't remember what they're called now, but the little Focusrite boxes and stuff. You can record a lot of good stuff at home. Or do you actually go into a studio?
Always a studio. Yeah, we work with Sheldon Zaharko. Sheldon's our main man, so I cannot imagine working with anybody else after death. He's the guy.
Well, I'll tell you, he's done some fine work because your music sounds great.
Thank you so much. I'll let him know.
Yep. And you know what, Cherelle Jardine, thank you so much again for being on the show. It's an honor to have you. Like I say, we'll follow your progress, and we look forward to having you on the show again sometime. Like this time next year, we'll have you back on the show. You're absolutely welcome. And to the listener, I say, yeah, you too. Stay safe, Cherelle, for sure. And to the listener, I say, thank you for being here. Always dance and sing, and let the music bring your soul to the surface for all the world to see. Until next time, have a shuffle your feet kind of week, and good night. You've been listening to This House of Musicians on Reality Radio 101.